Shalom. This is Truth is Everlasting Lion's Den. I am Yahweh Sap. I camp out with Lion Den, Hawan Ben Joshua in Jacksonville, Florida. But first, I'd like to give a prayer to the Father, to the Son, to the elders, to the Akims, and to the women and children. Kal Halayim La, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Bahashem Ha Rokak Wadash Mahamaf. In the name of Yahweh Shai, in spirit, in holy, and in truth. Double honors to the 144,000 chosen elect. Double honors to the elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder Hawan. Salutation to the Archons who are the four corners of the earth, and to the women and children, Shalom. Okay, well, they're already talking about around October. It looks like they're going to be bringing that reset after all, right? And when it does, all hell's going to break loose. Things are getting worse. They've already been talking about where people are going to be working only 1 week and 1 week off without pay. YouTube popped out on that. So things are getting uglier, okay? It says here, in next phase of global monetary reset coming in October, what it means for the U.S. dollar, right? So, really this lessons more to our people, right? Because we know that the wicked, as much as they're going to be excited, they're not going to succeed, right? But to our people who want to keep chasing the bag and forgot that they will call, or they heard the name of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, right? The title of this lesson is called, There Shall Be Weeping and Gnashing of Teeth. I'm going to play a little bit longer the video so you can get a clear picture, okay? So be patient. Here we go.
On the Spot with Michelle McCory is brought to you by Goldback, inflation-resistant 24-karat gold currency.
Hello, I'm Michelle McCory. Thank you again for joining us. The BRICS nations are exploring a new reserve currency called the unit, reportedly backed by gold. They're also looking at a new global payment system project, Enbridge. Both are seen as a challenge to the US dollar, and we're expecting significant developments regarding the initiatives at the 14th annual BRICS summit taking place in Kazan, Russia in October, so just about a month away. Now, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have recently expanded to include the United Arab Emirates, Iran, Egypt, and Ethiopia, with Saudi Arabia's status not entirely clear. Russia is chairing this year's summit. China's President Xi and India's President Modi are attending, as well as the presidents of all of the other BRICS Plus countries. Now, the BRICS countries are not only working on this new common currency, they've been actively trying to move away from the dollar. Member countries have been formalizing trade agreements using their own currencies instead of the dollar. The central banks of these countries have also been buying gold at record levels, and at the same time, they've been reducing their share of the dollar reserves. In fact, according to the IMF, dollar reserves held by central banks have fallen to just over 58%, which is the lowest level in 25 years. So this BRICS meeting is being viewed as a very significant step in the bifurcation of the global monetary system. And we are due a major monetary shakeup if we look at the past cycles. History has shown us that global monetary resets are inevitable. Now, most of us have only lived in the time with the dollar as the global reserve currency, and we have recency bias. But the US dollar has only been the king of reserve currencies since the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, so only around 80 years or so. And based on historical patterns, we know that over the last millennia, the global monetary or global currency financial resets have happened every 150 years or so, and that rate of change has been accelerating. So are we getting closer to a major global monetary reset? Well, here to give us a look at what could be next based on previous currency resets is John Forrest Little. John is a historian and a journalist and the founder of the Silver Academy, a research project for silver's industrial and monetary applications. John is also a content contributor for silverwars.org, Money Metals, and the Jerusalem Post. And he also authored the book Precious Metals, Warfare Theory, the Theory of Intricacy, Scarcity, and Utility, Gold's Embodied Energy. John, great to have you. Welcome to Gitco.
Thanks for having me on, Michelle. That was a great lead-up.
All right.
Follow it up. Let's see.
I'm sure you will, and you're going to give us all the very important details. As I mentioned, some very significant developments with the BRICS Plus countries. We want to really get into the nitty-gritty there, but before we do that, we want to give our viewers some historical context here, because that's so important when viewing this. And you're an expert at monetary cycles. As I mentioned, we've seen that the financial order or the currency resets over the last thousands of years, and that takes place about every 150 to 200 years or so, and as regimes come and go throughout history, and that rate of change has been accelerating as we look across the timeline. And you've been saying that it's the pattern that happens the same way every single time in each of these eras. The purity of the coin is at its best at the beginning of the regime. Then the ruling powers debase the currency either by diluting the gold and silver and introducing base metals into the coins, or as sovereign nations, they come up with a case for paper money, printing money, war bonds, basically devaluing and debasing fiat currency. So why don't we start with you giving us a brief background on the leading monetary systems throughout history and the cycle that we've seen playing out here.
Yeah, I'm kind of a geek about this chart. And the reason I love it so much is because through studying these different coins, you can really get a sense of economic history itself, the history of warfare, political science, the study of who gets what, when, where, and how, and sort of get a prediction of what's going to happen next. The first coins came out of the area of around Athens, from the mines of Lorion. Athens got too far involved in a war with Sparta. It was only supposed to be 3 years. It goes on for 30. They're weakened. The coin goes from purity of 90% down to 3%, and they're so weak that Rome is able to conquer them. And unfortunately, Rome does exactly the same thing, just over a longer span of time, where the denarii is weakened from 90% purity all the way down to 4. But again, their network went much further north. At which point the Byzantine Empire, which is present-day Asia Minor, and the ruling area was Constantinople, in present-day Turkey. That regime had a run for much longer, and most people don't really learn that because of sort of an ethnic-centric bias. But now we get into where Italy has its eyes on Constantinople and starts to issue the first war bonds. And then that is also followed, that same sort of playbook of vaulting the silver and gold by merchants, bankers, and political elites, leads to the same trend happening in Spain and in France. France calls them rentes, Spain calls them euros, and the Bank of England is basically 40 businessmen getting together, loaning the money to the King of England so he can wage a war against France. And no one did it better though than Spain. They went to, the mines had exhausted in southern Spain. That was where the mines that fueled Rome's wealth and glory. And they found new gold and silver in Mexico. We all know about Cortez and the Aztecs, Pizarro and the Incas. And then the viceroyalty of New Spain had all the silver going to Chihuahua, Zacatecas, Copper Canyon into New Mexico, Nevada, and California. So that's sort of, and then of course the US dollar emerged, reigned supreme right after World War II, really. Bretton Woods met, and the US had an advantage because during World War II, we supplied Europe with the finished goods they needed and the oil that they needed, and got gold in return for those finished goods.
Right. Before we get into the dollar again, so we have this history over thousands of years where you have an empire, it has a currency, it gets itself into potential trouble with conflicts, expansions, dilutes the value of the currency or the purity of the currency by either adding things to gold and silver coins like base metals, or as we say, issuing paper to back up the currency. And we've seen this come and go through history as empires rise and empires fall. And the viewers know that I always like to cite the fact that the Portuguese escudo was once the leading currency in the world, and it just goes to show, that an empire like Portugal used to be such a significant nation, especially in the maritime era, and now, it's respectfully just a nice tourist destination. It's completely lost its status as the superpower as it once had, all of that glory and might. So here we are now, and again, I mentioned that we have this recency bias because we've had the dollar for about 80 years, but we always feel that that's the way that it's been. So let's recap the dollar. We had the Bretton Woods system. Gold was the basis for the US dollar. Other currencies were pegged to the US dollar's value. And then under Bretton Woods, that happened in 1944 after World War II. So let's pick it up from that.
Okay, so the world's sitting back watching the fact that now the U.S. is the reserve currency, and the reason they voted U.S. in was because the European nations didn't really trust each other. There's been, they've gone through World War I, they've gone through World War II, and U.S. in the meantime is emerging as a superpower throughout the Industrial Revolution and the Gilded Age and the rise of Carnegie and Mellon and Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan and Henry Ford. So we're basically the factory of the world as well as the oil producer of the world. And we do have a gold standard, but what happens is after we shut the gold window in 71, it's basically because all the nations are starting to see that U.S. is abusing the privilege as a global reserve currency by printing too much debt, and they don't want to be part of the toxic orbit of that debt. So President de Gaulle, or the Prime Minister of France, sends a ship into the New York Bay and demands that his gold be, fill it up. I want you to convert. I want to exchange I want the gold ship back. And so we do one ship, and that's it. After that, U.S. defaults on the other nations that are in line to do likewise. And it was supposed to be just a temporary suspension of the gold standard, but at that point, politicians figured out that by printing endlessly, you can do two things. You can basically create a sort of inflation tax, which means people work harder for less money. And then secondly, it can pay for these unending war adventures, which we see in Iraq, Vietnam, Korea, and the most embarrassing of all is the Afghanistan debacle of 20-year war, where we replace the Taliban with the Taliban and leave 40,000 jeeps inside,
Right, and arguably that Afghanistan withdrawal has had a tremendous knock on the faith of the U.S. on the world stage, and what's backing the dollar these days is just the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. So just as a recap, 1971, Nixon takes us off the gold window temporarily, as you said, but that turned out to be very permanent. But then significantly, a deal was made with the Saudis in 1979 with the Saudi King Faisal and other oil-producing countries to sell oil exclusively in dollars. And that created the petrodollar, which helped the dollar maintain status, given that countries that needed to buy or sell oil could only do so in dollars. But, Doug, we're starting to see that end, and that's also potentially linked to that withdrawal from Afghanistan under the Biden-Harris administration, which you just touched upon, which arguably was a giant disaster. So we're seeing countries buying and selling oil in other currencies, impacting the petrodollar status. In fact, we've got some figures here from JP Morgan Chase that an estimated 20% of global oil in 2023 was bought and sold in non-US dollar terms, again, impacting the petrodollar. And then we've had this trend to de-dollarize accelerate by the excessive weaponization of the dollar with the sanctions on countries, and that's coming to a head when Russia was taken off the SWIFT system after its invasion of Ukraine. So give us a sense of where we are in terms of this global trend to de-dollarize, in terms of countries losing faith in the dollar and saying we want to use our own currencies?
Yeah, I want to add something. I'm glad you brought up this Saudi arrangement because at the point when you lose the gold backing, Kissinger did make an arrangement. It was sort of like prison yard protection. Saudi was to need protection. So once again, it's sort of the first glimpse of U.S. figuring out that the military is almost the best way to back the dollar. So going back to your question, what we may see next is the world watching, especially since maybe 2 to 3 years ago when Russia walked into Ukraine, or as Mearsheimer said, we pushed east towards Russia's border. And we'd all have to say, well, how would we feel if Russia went to Cuba? Like, that didn't go over real well because we have the Monroe Doctrine, and they're not even allowed in the Western Hemisphere. And NATO's expanded, if you just look at the before and after pictures since the agreement ending World War II, it's been remarkable. The NATO is the United States. So we all know that. It's all funded by U.S. tax dollars. So getting back to what's happening is no one wants to be sanctioned. To be sanctioned is a fancy word to say U.S. can steal your assets. They've done it in Iran. They've done it in Venezuela. It's been done in Syria. When Gaddafi tried to trade outside the U.S. dollar, he was killed. When Hussein tried to trade outside the U.S. dollar for oil, he was killed. So no one wants to be next. So they kept their eyes on a guy named Sergei Glasiev. He was a Russian economist. He was sanctioned by the U.S. government, and he wasn't an oligarch. He wasn't a military dictator, or he wasn't part of the military, nor was he in the KGB. He was an economist. But he devised the system, and Zoltan Posar has written about him, the Credit Suisse analyst, that was basically a gram of gold for a barrel of oil. So now you have the true definition of gold, which is it's divisible, it's now fungible, and since we haven't found a better system than oil to run the machines of the world, or our cars and ships and barges, ferries, and factories, and we need this oil. So this system of a barrel of oil for a gram of gold is really the basis of the BRICS unit. It's backed by, I believe they're calling it, the unit stands for United New International Trade. And it's to get away from U.S. dollar dominance. And you said so brilliantly in your opening segment, the percentage of U.S. settled trade of oil denominated in U.S. dollars at a historical low. And now we know this is economic warfare, right, Michelle? I mean, that's how I look at it.
Right. So before we get
Okay, Slakia. So as you can see, let me fix this. Give me a minute. There we go. So you can see,
what we can expect,
how wicked the Edomites are, right? That they go around the world bootering, playing booty around the world, and then stealing, right? And if people around the world don't comply, they start murdering people to force them to use fake counterfeit money so they can keep stealing, right? And top of that, how 2/3 of our people, the so-called Negros, Latino, Negro, and speckled birds, right? Knowing the wickedness, knowing that they are being stolen, right? 2/3 of people chasing the money, knowing that it's not money. They know this, right? So the Edomites are stealing from 2/3 of our people, but 2/3 of our people still insist that the fake Federal Reserve note paper money is more important, right, than doing the work of Yahweh and Yahweh. I'm going to jump around on this one, Luke chapter 13. Let me go start with verse 25, then I'm going to jump around, okay? When once the master of the house is risen, right? That's Yahweh Shai when he comes back, and has shut to the door. Oops, let me hit that. And ye being to stand without, and to knock at the door, saying, Lord, Lord, open unto us. And he shall answer and say unto you, I know you not, whence you are. Right? You know, we got some people that heard the quoting, right? Know the name, know who they are, right? I'm talking about the so-called Negros, Latinos, Incas, and speckled birds doing the work, and after a while, they came when they felt like it, or once in a blue moon, right? You don't see them, you don't hear about them. And you know, Yahweh Shem Yahushai keeps track and record of everything, right? All because they want to chase the money, right? I mean, we all got to work. Don't get me wrong. We got to work and pay and, you know, pay rent and buy food. But right now, they're getting ready. Okay, they're getting ready where I saw YouTube talking about where people are going to be getting only to work 1 week and 1 week off. And that's Yahweh Mashiach Yahushai telling the Edomites, you know, to put the pressure on his people, right? Yahweh Mashiach Yahushai is moving the chessboard, and he wants to see in what direction his people are going to go to. All right? Give me a minute. I'm going to jump to verse 27. Can hit this. But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not, whence you are. Depart from me all, ye workers of iniquity. I mean, how in the world the so-called Negros, Latino, Nickel, and speckled bird believe and think that they can deceive Yahweh Shem Yahushai? Huh? When he's watching everything and when they keep record from the beginning of time. Come on, man. I'm going to go now to verse 28. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth when ye shall see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of Yahweh, and you yourselves thrust out. This is getting, you know, the reset is getting closer. They said by October. Look how fast time is moving, man. Verse 29. Give me a minute here. And they shall come from the east and from the west and from the north and from the south, and shall sit down in the kingdom of Yahweh. Yeah, because his people, the so-called Negros, Latino, Nickel, and speckled bird, we're all over the world. Okay? Verse 30. And behold, there are last which shall be first, and there are first which shall be last. Yeah. You enjoyed this wicked kingdom, right? You live largely, right? You gave the finger to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Well, then you're not going to be first into the kingdom. Better yet, you're not going to be in the chariots. Okay? You will be left behind. I want to go to Matthew chapter 20. Give me a minute. Gotta look here. Matthew. Chapter 20. Verse 16. So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few are chosen. And this what our people, so-called Negro, Latino, Nickel, and speckled birds, don't catch. And at the same time, they don't like hearing this. Right? We're gonna tell Yahweh Shem Yahushai, no, you gotta pick me. Huh? Being spoiled brats. Okay? I'll tell you. Let me go to Matthew 22, verse 12. And he said unto him, Friend, how come thou in hither, and not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Yeah. I mean, you want to be accepted, right? When Yahweh comes back, but you don't want to do the work. I don't know how that works. How you gonna be thinking that way? You so-called Negros Latinos and speckled birds, right? I mean, how is it that you understand that when you go to a job and you work, you get paid? That you understand with the Edomites, okay? But yet to do the work of Yahweh Shai and get spiritual credit, you don't accept. You don't understand, right? But yet the Edomites are going to bring in this caste society, this invisible money, right? And you comprehend it. Oh yeah, man, that's going to be great. Nobody can steal, Easy to buy stuff. You don't have to carry that paper no more. See how wicked 2/3 of our people are, the so-called Negros, Latino, Native and speckled bird, trying to make sense at wickedness and calling it good on top of that. And yet, that which is righteous and good from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, they call it wicked. Let me go to Romans chapter 3. Give me a minute. Romans chapter 3, verse 19. Now we know that what things soever the law, check this out, it says to them who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped, and all the world may become guilty before Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. See, since Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua are the master chess player and the master creator of chess, not AI, not the Edomites, okay? That they already have created everything and looked at everything and put all checkmates in every move that all of us, heathens, wicked, God's people, okay? He controls everything, in other words. Verse 20, therefore by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be what? Justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. Woo! Wow. Checkmate. Right? You don't want to come back to Yahweh Shai? Okay, well then you're going to have to live by the law, whether you like it or not. How you like that? You so-called Negros, Latino, Negros, and speckled birds. And then you go to Matthew chapter 22, verse 13. Then said the king to the servant, bind him hands and feet, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yeah. Since you kept pretending that, oh yeah, I know the name. I know Yahweh Shai. Yeah. Yeah, I do the work here and there, but I got to make my money, man. I got to chase the bag, And also I got to, I got to entertain myself now. I'm working too hard. Right? There's nothing wrong if you have a wife, if you have a woman, right, and you spend time, but not that you're going to disappear, huh? Months later, you show up when you want to. This is not, this is wicked, man. You're not showing the fear of trembling with repentance. I said 13, yeah. Let me go to Matthew chapter 8. Give me a minute, Slakia. Verse 12. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darknesses. Yeah, 2/3 of our people. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yeah, why? Because you're going to be angry that he's doing something righteous, something right, something good for 2/3 of our people, but you don't like the punishment. You don't like the idea that you're going to be burned with fire to be cleansed so you can come back to the new kingdom as babies. Huh? You want things your way. Have it your way. What was that? Burger King or McDonald's who wrote that song or that phrase? Let me go to Matthew chapter 21, verse 42. Yahweh said unto them, did ye never read in the scriptures the stone which the builders rejected? And said, is become the head of the corner? This is Yahweh's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Huh? I mean, Yahweh the Father loves us so much that he sent his only begotten Son, right? Who did not sin, to have a remedy for his people. Those that repented with fear and trembling, and those who did not, which is 2/3, right? So we can come back to the new kingdom. All of us, one way or another, we all gonna come back to him. Right? Verse 43, therefore said I unto you, the kingdom of Yahweh shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth the fruit thereof. Yeah. You want to keep going to these 501c3 incorporated prostitute pagan churches, right? That are not only robbing from your money, your time, but also rob, rape, and murdering people around the world. Huh? Oh, okay. Let me say allegedly. But you know better. You know how wicked these corporated churches are and what they're really doing to our people. Right? 44. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken. But on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. Woo! Yes, sirree. Isn't that GMS? It's been out for many, many years, and now has grown as wildfire. And how many times they try to stop GMS? They came up with so many different stories and accusations, right? And still, the hand of Yahweh Shai has protected them and has made them grow worldwide. Even to where my elder has been on the highways and byways, not only here in Jacksonville, okay? He has traveled other places in America. He's been out doing the work of Yahweh Shai for many years as well, right? But now we're getting closer to the reset, the great reset, okay? We're going to be seeing some furniture being moved, as my Bishop Canuck says. Where was I want to go to 1 Peter. Give me a minute. 1 Peter, if I can find it, chapter 2, verse 4. To whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Yahweh and precious. Yeah. You know, it all started with, in 1960, with our Bibbins, okay, in New York, right? And then it grew to jumped from there, the spirit, into GMS. And then it grew wildfire all over the world now. Let's go to verse 5. Give me a minute. Yea, also as living stone are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifice acceptable to Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. See how beautiful, right? You know, when we're working in the world to make our money, right? They just keep taking and stealing, right? But when we work for Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai, that's building spiritual credit, right? And also that's being humble with fear and trembling so he can be merciful as well, right? We all have sinned when we fall short of the glory, right? Verse 6, wherefore it is content in the scripture, behold, I lay in Israel a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believes on him shall not be confounded. Yeah. You know, Yahweh Shai, okay, has let a group of elected chosen ones, 144,000 chosen elect. We don't know who it is, okay? But I can tell you what, through reading scripture in the name of Yahweh Bashin Yahweh Shai, Salakia, yeah, it's going to be many in GMS, Great Millstone, believe it or not, whether you like that or not, okay? And then it's going to go on down. But he's only coming, Yahweh Shai is only coming with the host of angels, the army of angels. He's only coming for 144,000 chosen elect men, right? And 1/3 of men, women, and children. I can only hope and pray that I'll be one of the chosen elect, okay? Now, should I be disappointed if I'm not? Should I be thinking that way? Oh, well, maybe I won't be, so I shouldn't be doing the work of Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai? Hell no. If anything, I'm going to keep doing the work until I can't do it no more. Until the famine comes. Or something happens. Right? Where was I? Give me a minute. I think I was in verse 7. Unto you, therefore, which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallow, the same is made the head of the corner. Huh? It's a done deal. Edomites can't change it. Edomites can't stop it. And Edomites cannot destroy it. Not even 2/3 of our people who are participating in helping the wicked Edomites, right, to come after us. Verse 9. Verse 8, Salakia. And a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. Yeah, it's all control, it's all planned by Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai. Okay? How he's going to run the show, how he's going to play the script, and nobody can stop it. Verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praise of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, into the marvelous truth. That's the beauty about this, right? Edomites with the high education do not control truth. As much as they give threats, right, that you better stop what you're doing, it's not something you can buy, pay, and get a degree. It is by Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai who calls and chooses the chosen people who he's going to give the truth to. Verse 10. Which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of Yahweh, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Woo! That's beautiful, huh? Let's go to Matthew chapter 22. Give me a minute. Chapter 22, verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen. That is, judging righteously. And it's a beautiful thing to know that Yahweh Shem Yahushai controls all things, even from the beginning of time. Okay? We cannot live without Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That would be impossible. Matthew chapter 13. Give me a minute. Verse 42. Okay. Where are you? Here we go. And shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Yeah. All this time, all these years that our people, the so-called Negros, Latino, Negros, and speckled birds, have heard the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, has seen his people in the highways and byways around the world. And now the Great Reset is getting closer. Now they're talking already about October. It's going to get real ugly and real bad out there. That's going to happen. Verse 43, then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun, and in the kingdom of their Father, whom has ears to hear, let him hear. Yeah. You close your ears to the truth of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay. You 2/3 so-called Negros, Latinos, Negros, and speckled birds. Okay. It's a beautiful thing to be called. It's a beautiful work to do, right? And it's beautiful to know our true identity, nationality, and our culture, our inheritance. Srakia. Verse 44, again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man has found, he hides, and for joy thereof goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. And how he does that? Doing the work to build spiritual credit. Yep. Let's go to Matthew 25. Matthew chapter 25, verse 30. Oops, what happened? Okay, here we go. Verse 30. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yeah. Because when you had the time, you so-called Negros, Latino, Negros, and speckled bird men, right? You didn't take heed. Yet you made time to celebrate the pagan holidays. You made time to work day and night, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs, right? You made time to take vacation. You made time for entertainment. But you did not make time for Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right? So, I go to Psalm chapter 35, verse 6. Let me start there. Let their ways be dark and slippery. That goes also to the heathens. And let the angels of Yahweh prosecute them. You see what's going to happen when the host of angels come back? They're not coming back for the whole world. As a matter of fact, they're not coming back for all our people. They're only coming back for 144,000 chosen elect and 1/3 of men, women, and children. I'm going to jump to verse 16. With hypocritical mockers in feasts, they garnish upon me with their teeth, right? Mocker, steamingly, right? I mean, I can tell you, man, when I was in the highway and Bible with my elders camp, and our people pass by, some of them give us a look like, like they want to just take us out. hypocritical, godless, profane. Hmm? Yep. It is what it is, right? I want to jump to verse 27. Let them shout for joy. Be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, let Yahweh Shai be magnified, which has pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. Woo! Huh? We're going to keep doing the work no matter how many people hate us, family, our own kind, so-called Negros, Latinos, Mexican speckled birds who give us the finger, who call us bums, right? And keep doing it until the day comes that the famine comes and that Yahweh Shai comes back, right? So I'll leave it with verse 28. And my tongue shall speak of thy righteousness and of thy praise all day long. And boy, is that going on around the world day and night, non-stop. It's a beautiful thing to know that we've been called, and we're pleading for our people, right? The so-called Negros, Latinos, and speckled birds. Repent with fear and trembling, right? If you hear the call, humble yourselves. I hope that this was edifying, and with that I say Shalom.